G'day everyone. Um, Welcome to another stream for L5R Global Discord League. I'm Simkoff and I'm joined by Mine's Desire.
Hey, what's up, guys and girls?
Cool. Alright, well what we might do is, this is top 4 Season 4 Cup, so we might just have a quick squiz at the deck list of Toreadory versus Chutereve.
Chutereve.
Chutereve, there's the correct pronunciation.
Yeah. It's just like it sounds.
Alright,
Or
so I
sorry,
think
just like it looks.
Straight out of a crane or Gru mirror. This was Chutereve's deck. So I think this is another crane mirror we've got today, and I think Chutereve's gone for the scorpion splash here. Was there anything crazy that you saw here in this particular deck?
No, this is pretty close to what he ran in Paris, I believe. He's been fiddling with a Forged Edict in his crane list. I think his LCQ list has one Fate Worse Than Death, and then he shaved one for an Edict and a Meek Informant. So he's just kind of fiddling around with the conflict side. Shoot likes to play a lot of 1x cards.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's got the 1x charge, 1x censure, 1 admit defeat, 1 noble sack.
Very toolboxy. All right then, and the 2 times Young Harrier, and I think we saw in that last Crane mirror, the Young Harrier actually was a little bit of a key card, clutch card, which it usually not necessarily is.
Yeah, the 1-cost conflict characters are really nice in matchups like this, where both players are spending cards to like bow and neuter their opponent's conflict.
Yeah.
So like your opponent spends all these cards, and then you just hit them with the Harrier. They're not as good against like Lion Splash, for instance. Like against Dragon Splash, a lot of people will try and defend as little as possible and then Fury, but the characters can go wide.
Yeah. All right, let's have a look at Toreadory's deck, who's gone with the Lion Splash, aforementioned Lion Splash. I guess the big difference between this deck and a lot of other Crane decks, 3 times Stand Your Ground. Really interesting choice, which has been pretty good for keeping Yoshi and Guests of Honors around in Toreador's previous rounds, and I think
and Brash Samurai.
And Brash Samurai for sure.
Yeah, that's the main the easiest combo basically, right? Like a character that self-honors itself, has good stats, and then if you stand your ground it, you get to just keep re-honoring him.
Yeah. So Ready for Battle as well. I guess that's been, I think, in the mirror. I guess there's For Shame that it's
very
effective
good
against.
Yeah, so the Ready for Battle is very good in the mirror. It's good against the Crane Stronghold.
Yeah.
So sometimes your opponent will just try and not defend and then Crane Stronghold, and then if you hit them with Ready for Battle, you can really surprise them. And then obviously For Shame is another big one. And then the Water Ring, a lot of people take into account the Water Ring, and if your opponent is depending on a Water Ring to bow like a Guest of Honor or something, and you just hit them with Ready for Battle.
That's for sure. And I think as well, if you're playing Stand Your Grounds, quite often you're going to have a few guys that have got no fate on them. So Ready for Battle.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, for the Water Ring.
One thing that I'm afraid of for Tor is that he only has one political rival, and we saw in Shoot versus Eric, political rival on the defense was just top notch.
Yeah, I guess it obviously extremely strong political skill, but also it sets up the policy debates.
And on the the final stronghold attacks, or the covert is very large, especially against big characters like Hotaru and Yoshi.
Yeah, and being able to stop a Guest of Honor from coming into the last conflict can be quite.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll just let the guys go. We're ready to go. Have fun and good luck.
So this will be Tor's 3rd Crane Mirror of the tournament. Shoot has only played 1 Crane Mirror.
Yeah. so Toreadory is the veteran of the Crane.
Yeah, we've seen the strength of Lion Splash. I think in both of those matches, he's the Lion Splash has come through very strong. So I will say that I am rooting for Tor here, because I'm rooting for Dicky here, because if he wins, I definitely feel more confident versus Lion Splash than I do versus Scorpion Splash.
Yeah, so
no attachment control, no Fate Worse Than Death. It's just kind of less. It's less to play around, right? Like
yeah, for sure.
We play more of a fair game here. I make big dudes, and he makes some guys, and then he runs into my provinces, and then I win.
Fair game. I
Right,
see.
like
It's,
that's
it's just scared of
fair,
those
fair
fate
game,
worse than
fair
death,
game.
right? For those of
Yeah,
you that for those of you that aren't aware, Mine's Desire has also he just won his recent semi-final, so he's going to play the winner of this game in the final for the Season 4 Cup. So yeah, so I guess you've got a little bit riding on this one.
yeah. Look, I'm not. I love both these guys. You know, they're
Yeah.
both awesome members of the community, and you know, I've interacted with both of them a lot, and you know, they're awesome. And so I don't mind whoever wins, right? But if I had a dog in this fight, I would pick Tor.
Oh dear. I'm a traditionally a Scorpion player, but Toreadory is local Melbourne guy, Australian guy, good buddy of mine too. So I'd love to see him go forward. But I think so. Chutereve, you're saying he was in the Paris Cote, was he?
Yeah, he finished top 16.
Wow. Okay, and that was like how many? What was the total count of players in that tournament?
So
It was
it
pretty
was
big, right?
around 150 players on day one, and around 150 or around 250 players on day 1B.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
you know, it's kind of two separate tournaments,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. The
so
kind of joint.
we see Shoot go for guest 3 fate, and Tor, you know, Tor has the option to also do the same thing, but he chooses to go with the Brass Samurais to gain the honor advantage. And when we see honor advantage in this matchup, honored characters on board is a very important statistic for this.
Yeah, enabling the voice of honors. Um, and I think that I've seen in a lot of these Crane mirrors that generally speaking, guest of honor being, a key character, especially when combined with favorable ground, is quite often they are putting 3, sometimes even more fate. But it's unusual to put that much fate on a character in general when you're buying them. But 3 fate for guest of honor seems pretty reasonable in a Crane matchup.
The thing is, when a character is so like warping of a matchup,
Yeah.
like for instance, Katsuki Investigator against Crane,
Oh yeah.
the South Scorpion, like if I play against Toreadory, I would if I had an option, I would definitely three fate my Katsuki Investigator. I'm gonna get a card every single turn. Like there are cards that warp the matchup where you just want to have them around as long as possible.
Yeah. I think guest one is that. So I guess in a way, Toreador, because he's got the 2 characters and the potential honor advantage with the self-honoring Brash Samurai, he's gone more for the tempo to being able to hopefully declare an extra both conflicts and kind of have a more aggressive first turn. Where I feel like the guest of honor, I mean, it's probably a little bit more defensive. I mean, you're probably a pretty good chance of winning a conflict on the offense, but you're not really going to be flipping up 2 provinces here unless you've got a steal your law or something like that.
It's awkward for
Yeah.
Shoot though, is that Tor here can just stand one of his Rash Samurais if he wants for favor with a face up Yoshi.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So Shoot's gonna pass his conflict opportunities, not surprisingly, and then
Yep.
Tor's gonna go poke in on a military here. Interesting that he contests fire here. Dishonoring the guest, while good, is not it's not amazing. Like the guest ability is really what you're looking for.
I guess so, but I think maybe potentially because he's got 3 fate on him, or the guest of honor's got 3 fate on her, I should say, is maybe thinking a little bit longer term rather than just this term, because any honor token that's on the board is going to be quite critical with the voice of honor battle.
I would have liked going Void. One, this is a matchup where characters aren't going to stay around. Toreadory does have a stand your ground. That's one way they can stay around. But it's not like, Dragon or Crab, for instance, where no fated characters can stay around forever. The thing is, like, voiding this Gust of Honor does remove a turn offer, and it protects both of your characters from being voided.
And so are you on the counter attack here in Reeve's spot? Chutereve's spot, are you going to potentially just go for the Void Ring to block the Void Bling on the second conflict for Toreadory?
It's also they're talking chat's talking about Noble Sack. Toreadory does have 1 Noble Sack. That would be another reason to run this play here.
And that's a completely legitimate trade at this point.
And yeah, we see Shoot doesn't want to take chances. We see a policy debate come out here. Toreadory having fun here. Double assassination, charge, policy debate ready for battle, double standard round, double way of the crane.
Well, the good news
pretty good hand.
It's pretty decent hand, but I guess the good news for Toreadory is there's no Nob Sack there, and that Noble Sacrifice is probably going to be potentially critical later in the game to remove one of the bigger characters. I guess.
I mean,
Far, what do you...
He's getting policy debated here, but like it doesn't even matter. Like
Yeah.
both players discarded a card and Shoot paid 2 honor, but like this turn isn't going to change anything, right? Like
Yeah.
Shoot's already blocked. He's
That's
already
right.
chosen to block.
Yeah, and when you're blocking with the Guest of Honor, you're gonna win this conflict, right? Or theoretically.
Well, no, he would have to have Bonsai, right?
Yeah.
Or he could just leave now and give up the break if he wants. I don't think he will, but that's an option if he wants to do a counter attack.
So Toreador is not going to break because he doesn't have a Bonsai in his hand. He doesn't have a Flying Katana. And the charge just got discarded.
Interesting that he chooses to discard charge when charge can't be played in this conflict.
Yeah. Yes, because of the Guest of Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I guess that's because he's considering leaving.
I would have considered discarding maybe the Ready for Battle. Maybe discarded my opponent's policy debate. So Artisan Academy flips court games. Shoots one of those players who still runs one.
One Artisan Academy, yeah. They're less and less common these days.
Sure, Luke. Yeah, that's fair. Charge, way of the Crane standing ground. You know, classic 3-card combo.
Well, it's there. He knows Toreador's got the combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so here comes the Bonsai from Shoot. Again, the policy debate just kind of it wouldn't matter in this conflict, right? Like it just doesn't matter if Shoot had the Bonsai, Toreador just can't win this conflict. Like, cause he would need a sword.
So I don't think this is a bad outcome for Toreador. Like, he's Guest of
I would
Honor's now
agree.
bad. Yeah, like, I mean, Toreador is going to
Shoot's
get
on to
another
8 honor
contest.
also.
Yeah.
Like if Toreador gets favor, he can maybe lower the bids a little bit and put some honor pressure on while still maintaining cards with Yoshi.
They both bid 5 on turn 1, which I guess was
Sure.
not
But
really
like,
a surprise.
if you win favor,
yeah.
if you win favor, you maybe drop it down to 3, put Shoot to 6, and then slowly bring it down as you're drawing cards with Yoshi to make up for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I assume.
So I'm assuming Chutereve here has a conflict character.
Stewie.
Steward of Law is not bad. It's not great because you need to double for shame if you want a Stewie for shame to get through.
It's a body, I guess.
Yeah, right. Like you're just gonna give your. I guess you force an attack through, and then if your opponent doesn't want to defend, you'll tie for favor.
I think he does have a Stewie because that's why he's taking a little bit of time on this decision.
It could be a young Harrier also,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
just
true.
any conflict character.
Yeah.
You just get a poke in, and then you force a block to tie favor.
Yeah. I think with the time zone difference here, it's quite early in the morning for poor Toreador. He's not used to getting up this early. So he's just having his coffee. Alright. So young Harrier has come down. Okay, so we're seeing a water conflict here to... Oh. There was 2 assassinations in Toreador's hand, wasn't there? Yes. Sorry, are you still there, Mind's Desire? All right. Well, I think we've lost Mind's Desire. So I guess. Oh.
All right, I'm back.
You're back. No worries.
Yeah, sorry, I'm cooking dinner, so
Oh,
I'm
no
just running
worries.
back and forth and
Yeah.
stirring the pot.
We just saw the young Harrier get immediately assassinated. But a brash samurai has been charged out, so it's a contested watering against the fertile fields. So interestingly, we've actually managed Shoot's managed to break a province on turn 1.
Yeah, he breaks the Guest of Honor province also. Wait, Shoot chooses not to. Oh, he favorable grounded in the guest, so nothing could happen. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see this ready for battle be clutch here. So
Yeah,
Toreadory wants to flip. He wants to flip map meditations. He wants to flip Shameful Display or the other air province here, and he does. Denies Shoot the second Secret Fate.
Yeah, that's very important. So those roll cards can only be used once per turn.
So obviously this is not as. So yeah, ready for battle is gonna come out here. Stand his Brash Samurai. He has a right. Yeah, I would say he has one in his hand.
Yeah. So I don't think there was any way of Toreador looking at his hand of increasing his political skill, so we're not going to see a break.
Shoot has the court games anyway, if
Yeah,
worst case scenario.
That's good. So I think this is more about stripping some fade off Guest of Honor, reducing.
Interesting that he goes for a Void here instead of going for Earth.
I think it's just that, as we talked about before, that Guest of Honor is such a amazingly strong card in this matchup. Every turn you can reduce it on the board, the better.
That's fair. So Shoot wins favor. Probably gonna see this Artisan Academy. Actually, he might keep the Artisan Academy and bid slightly lower, so he doesn't risk anything.
Yeah.
So we see Toreador get first turn Challenger. Really strong play here. He can pull that Guest of Honor into a conflict. I wouldn't be surprised. We could see both Asami and Challenger be bought here.
Asami is another one of those characters that is extremely strong in the mirror. Especially as it gets to sort of turn 3 and 4, you can start to put a lot of honor pressure on your opponent, really reduce the number of cards in their hand.
I wonder if Toreador will low bid here. He's up 3 cards. He has an Asami showing. Okay, he 5s, and then Shoot just bids 4 to kind of be safe. Toreador does have a second assassination in his hand, so.
Second assassination, but also I think one of the reasons why he may have bid higher is because information is obviously really important in these high-level matchups, and at the moment Shoot has a really good idea of what's in Toreadori's hand. 5 extra cards means there's a lot of information that Shoot now doesn't know about Toreadori's hand, and that is something that, Toreadori will like to use to his advantage.
Yeah, that's big for sure. Like it's definitely like even if you know the cards in your opponent's hand, that they still work.
Yeah, they still work, but yeah, it's just I guess from a tactical perspective here. Okay, so very clearly there's only one player who's going to be able to use Voice of Honor this turn. 3 honored characters on Toreadori's side.
Grody, I drove you saying stuff like apologize for playing Scorpion. So we see one of the Way of the Cranes be expended here onto the Challenger. Probably going to see a military at Manicure Garden if I had to guess. This is a large attack. Maybe he's sending the Brash Samurais here, and then he's going to pull the Challenger back with the favorable ground.
Yeah, it's a pretty clean.
I think it might be better to, if you attack with just a Challenger, you threaten a break, and then you can pull the guest on a military conflict. You pull the guest on the military conflict, and then you can leave with the Challenger, and the Brash Samurai still beats the guest in combat. Is he going Void again?
I think he's considering it.
But yeah, the void has been flipped, so yeah, he's going void again.
So I think he is just worried about shoot counter contesting void. You know, double void means that guest of honor is gone this turn. This is the last turn on the board if he manages to win this conflict.
Yes, Suwu, yeah, whatever. Suwu, it's easier to get into this game. I would suggest playing online, just to get a feel for the game, and then also, you don't have to spend any money. See if you like it.
And there's a lot of resources out there too. You can just go to fiveringsdb.com, and then you're able to import. Just look at some of the top decks, and you can just import them in, and there's plenty, and the community is very, very helpful. Okay, so it is a military void against the manicured gardens with no defense.
So yeah, he pulls the guest here.
No surprises there. And you're suggesting that potentially he might use the favorable ground to.
He might, but he also might just leave the challenger here because he wants to make sure he might save his favorable ground to combat Shoot's challenger, right?
Yeah.
So if you leave the challenger, then a bonsai or a bonsai wins the conflict for Shoot, and he really needs to avoid this guest of honor. Yeah. This is smart. So he just takes the no risk, takes the break, is going to avoid the guest. And now he can use his favorable ground to counter the challenger attack.
Yep.
Ideally, he wants challenger here to hit shameful display.
I think that the way of the crane on the challenger there was probably just to make it a little bit more difficult for Toreadory to policy debate him.
Also, he just runs in a manicure garden. He
worried about the shameful.
What's it called? It just gives him more stats, right? Like so he can bully a little harder. Interesting that we see a defense here. Oh, it's contesting water. That makes more sense.
Yeah, you don't want to stand up the guest.
Threatens the bow on the brash also. Maybe you just don't defend that, and then if he stands the guest, you still have 2 characters. Toreadory does have 12 cards in hand here. We know he has multiple standard rounds too.
Yep.
So these brash samurai can potentially live. If he wants to save them both, or save one. Also, if Shoot has an assassination here, he needs to be careful not to walk into that trap where he assassinates standard ground and then re-honor.
Which the cards are in Toreadory's hand to make that a reality.
Oh, so Shoot has his 1x admit defeat.
Okay, so there was there a second ready for battle? And do you use
it? It doesn't.
No.
Toreadory says those damn 1x cards.
Guess not.
Look, he doesn't have a Steward of Law or for Shane either. Wow, that's really awkward, right? He has 12 cards in his hand. He didn't have a ready for battle. Doesn't have a conflict character.
So this is very tough because standing the guest of honor is going to cause a lot of problems for Toreadory.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, Toreadory's got 12 cards in his hand, but sometimes these crane players can have a lot of cards in their hand, but that's not necessarily the same amount of power from other clans because a lot of their conflict cards aren't.
Yeah, it's all a nuance, right?
Yeah. I think 13 cards in a dragon player's hand equals a hell of a lot of force, whereas.
But like so even a dragon player has a lot of cards in his hand. It's stats, right? Like you just know that you're gonna lose conflicts.
Yeah. Whereas Crane is not about bulk brute force stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is not a great outcome for Toreadory, but Shoot's probably going to be pretty happy with this. It's the second province break.
So I wonder if you make an attack here if you're Toreadory.
You really want to get that Asami ability off, but it's much easier to get off in defense.
Well, you can attack,
Yeah.
and then if shoot defends, you can pull back. If shoot doesn't defend, you can attack, use your ability, leave.
Yeah, and that
The problem is,
the favorable
oh
ground's on a
god,
broken province. So I think that, it's got to be used this turn, otherwise it disappears anyway, so you might as well make use of it.
the problem right now for Toreadory is that we know that Chutereve actually has a court games in his hand. So if he defends with the guest of honor, we could see a court games, and then Toreadory has no recourse other than to leave.
Yeah, but I guess potentially he's trying to sucker the guest of honor into defending, maybe.
Sure, then he can leave.
Yeah, then he can leave. And yes, his guy's dishonored, but, it means that Toreadory will be able to get the favor and hopefully flip a Yoshi.
If Toreadory can survive this turn without taking his third break, he's in a good spot, I'd say.
Yeah. So I think in this case here, Toreadory's best defense is actually offense.
What are these people running under the stronghold? Is it rally or is it entrenched? Both are playing entrenched. Really awkward for the Crane Mirror, where Ancestral Land would be pretty hype.
Yes, it would be. But the decks were locked.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you want to attack for specifically that. Lion and Crab are a little bit stronger. Even Dragon, for instance, like you can defend political enough that the extra force on a military defense is probably worth it.
Yeah, both entrenched. They're running exact same province setup. Okay, so there wasn't a defense mounted there. That honor point will be important. Huh.
I wonder if he has a conflict character.
Yeah. Otherwise, essentially, he's used favorable ground to swing
To steal an honor.
Yeah, which is not terrible. And
well, the thing is, he gave Chutereve a card off of this
from the fertile fields. Yeah.
So if he has a conflict character, that'd be really strong here, right? So he has 4 conflict characters. I wouldn't play political rival here, but I would play a Steward of Law.
Are you going to pop a fate on that Steward of Law? Keep it around for an extra turn, or are you just paying a fate essentially to make shoot lose another honor?
Lose an honor, discard a card, and draw a card.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good value for one.
I mean, like it's a pretty good value play. I mean, he do draw a card, so the discarded card is not as relevant, but discard at random can be big. We see a Steward of Law come in for shoot here to actually take the wait. He can just ballot with the stronghold.
Stronghold the box. Yeah.
Oh yeah, neither player can play conflict characters here. Toreadory should bow the Steward of Law with his stronghold, so he doesn't.
Yeah.
So
let's see if he remembers to use box.
Oh no! Shoot has political favor, so he'll win the strong. He'll win the conflict anyway.
Good point.
We see an assassination come out. That is so aggressive. He really didn't want shoot there to win that ring.
So I think Toreadory is battling hard for the favor.
Yeah, that's what it looks like here.
Really wants the favor.
Is not now if he runs into meditations here. And he does. Wow, shoot hits the meditations. That's so good. So we know that shoot has a court games. Does he have a court games and a for shame? Court games and for shame leads to a break here. Yeah, Toreadory pointing out dodging shameful and Groomier equals high rolling for sure.
Yeah, I think
that's one nice thing. I was gonna say that's one thing I love playing against Crane is that I have, instead of just one or 2 provinces that are great, like against Crab, Crane has 3 bad provinces to hit. Shameful is almost as impactful as Resto or Feast or Famine on the turn 1.
Yeah, can be quite disastrous.
Yeah, especially like Honor Nintendo Master, dishonor your challenger or something.
Yeah, Dragon have one of the nastiest rows. Okay, so there wasn't a province break.
Interesting that So Shoot must not have had another card, right? If he needed a fan of For Shame, any of those cards. Oh, so we see Censure, Cancel, Stand Your Ground. So Stand Your Ground actually is not a cost. Removing the honor status is not a cost. So if one gets canceled, you can actually play another one on that same character.
Oh, it's an effect. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so it initiates the removing. The removing is after the card initiates. So it has to initiate first.
That's very subtle.
Because you see how the dashes instead discard that character status? So the initiation, after it initiates, then you discard the status.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it does not say discard the status.
Yeah.
So we see Shoot bring out his own Asami here. I wonder if you buy Yoshi here, just as a giant body. Yoshi 4 Fate.
I love it. I love it. Oh my god.
Way of the Cranes is Yoshi right now. This character is swole.
And 2 favorable grounds, right?
Yeah. The favorable grounds here is what you want. And we see, Toreadory has drawn all 3 of his Way of the Cranes.
Yeah, so Toreadory can't complain too much about Shoot high rolling. Like 3 Way of the Cranes, not bad either. And I mean, they've both been through half the decks.
3. Drawing 3 of a card in less than half your deck is definitely a lot. Like that's the odds of that are definitely lower. So we see a fan come out from Challenger. We know Toreadory has a policy debate.
Yep.
So maybe that's why you low bid a little bit to gain some honor. So when you policy debate, you can aggressively bid to win.
So Shoot bid
5. So Shoot has to attack into Meditations here. It's really awkward.
Yeah.
Both players having favorable ground here is actually really funny. It leads to this game of chicken with conflict characters.
In the previous Crane Mirror in Toreadory's last game, there was the shame that there was lots of favorable grounds whilst the Guest of Honors were in play. So you had this scenario where both players just constantly had double-digit size hands, like conflict hands, and no one could ever play a card from their hand because every conflict there was a Guest of Honors were there. So I think we're probably likely to see a little bit more exciting conflicts this term because both players' hands are on.
Yeah, no Guest of Honor. Players can play cards.
They can play this game.
So we see first action is to actually Meditations and not to honor. So if she has a policy debate here, it will be very easily won. We see a Katana come out here. Brash Samurai honors.
I think fading that policy debate's pretty potent.
It's actually not bad here, right? Like Toreadory can just eat this Void Ring if he has to, and he still has a better board. Shu doesn't have the Fate to play Fate Worse Than Death.
No, he doesn't. He's on 2 Fate, and but I mean, you don't want to let your opponent get unboxed so quickly.
So we see Shoot pull Asami here.
So it's a military conflict, so Asami cannot use her ability because that's a.
Asami will be leaving this conflict almost assuredly.
Now, which favorable do you use? Because I guess if you're using
the one on the Broken Province, because this one, the one on the Meditations, is adding the Strength, where you want to, if you want to prevent a break, it does make one more.
So we have a very strong Brash Samurai now, 8th strength Brash Samurai with the Banzai.
Toreadory must have a Voice of Honor, or maybe the third Stand Your Ground here. This is very aggressive in this the face of a potential assassination.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see Toreadory Voice of Honor shoots Banzai, and then we see this is so aggressive. If Shoot has his 1x assassination here, it's so aggressive.
Yeah, I think Toreadory's made this decision that he just cannot let this province break this turn.
He's basically just saying, I can't beat I'm not going to beat assassination, so show it to me right here.
Yeah.
It would put him to put Shoot to 2 honor though, and an air assassination kills Shoot here.
Yeah.
Because you just do political air with Yoshi and Asami, and you steal with Asami. And, yeah. So you actually just can't play assassination in this spot.
Yeah.
So should also lose with his challenger. Probably going to see a military attack with Toreadory's challenger here. You could like military air, grab that fate.
So I think the momentum, Toreadory's starting to gain a little bit of momentum back. Shoot was kind of
I would agree.
dominating last turn.
I would absolutely agree that the momentum is shifting here. This forfeit Yoshi is just going to be a monster.
Yep. I think because the deck lists are open, and you know that there's no Cloud the Mines, and there's no, various other nasty effects that deal with I mean, there's the Fate Worsen Deaths, but it's okay to play some of these larger characters with lots of Fate, especially when you're running 3 favorable grounds. In a lot of other matchups, it's quite risky to spend 9 Fate on a single character.
Toreadory pulls in Chutereve's Asami here to basically prevent Chuterev from activating her. I think he's just going to try and choke the honor here. If Toreadory wins favor this turn, he can drop the bid down to 1.
Yeah, I think Toreadory has identified that it's more likely he's going to win through, just choking the hell out of Shoot's hand and either winning through Dishonor or having this massive hand advantage, which will propel him to a conquest victory.
Like next turn, if Toreadory flips the guest of honor with this board here, because his Asami and his challenger are going to stay. He's going to be first player with challenger, and if he flips guest of honor, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So Toreadory debates the Asami. We see 2 calling in favors, court games, rival, voice, way, and fate worse than death. This card's the rival, so Toreadory not afraid of fate worse than death at all.
Yep.
Rival is very, very good in this matchup, so.
Yeah, you were mentioning that earlier. 6 political in defense is incredible, and then being able to dodge.
Zero glory also. Zero glory is really big. It can eat 1/2 of first shame, or it can eat a court games.
Yeah. Eat a court games, and then obviously then on the offense you can dodge Yoshi. Or dodge a guest.
Dodge Yoshi, dodge guest.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see the political attack here. Political Earth, if I had to guess, from Chutereve to grab that fate, because we know he has the fate worse than death in his hand. He needs to be able to activate it, and so he needs to bank up some fate. I think we might see a double defense here. Yeah. Toreadory is already in line to win favor here. He knows the hand of Chutereve. So first action is going to steal with Asami. So Chutereve's down to 3 honor. Let's see. He has... What can he play here? He can play a court games if he wanted.
Yep.
So if he court games, that brings... Actually, he can win this conflict. So he can... Oh, we see an opposite court games, though. He can still win this conflict, actually. So we see he can court games to honor. He can... waive the crane to honor. Court games to dishonor one of Tor's character, which he did via Asami. And then he can... Oh, there's a first shame, though. Never mind. No longer can be done. Because you can play the fan. You can play the fan and get to 12 yourself.
Yeah. Oh, waive the crane, though.
He can't win, right? There's just no way.
Yeah, no.
And I think he just did it. I think he just did it to get it off dishonored.
Yeah.
And while he can, he sees that Toreadory doesn't have a voice of honor.
Yeah, and also to prevent the.
Oh, he sends Asami home now. Oh, this is... Shoot might die here.
To go for the air and because.
Well, no. Let's see. So you go fire.
Yeah, and you're dishonoring one of his guys, I guess, the challenger.
And then you dishonor the challenger, who's going to die next turn, and then he goes down to 2 with a dishonor character and an Asami. He needs to dodge meditations here. Toreadory wants to find shameful display so badly right now. The 50-50. Oh, and he does it! He hits the 50-50.
Oh, well, he's the luck's come his way.
Yeah, he hits the 50-50 here.
Wow. So you're gonna.
So the question is: do you dishonor challenger or do you honor your own Asami?
I think.
You could dishonor. You could dishonor opposing Asami.
Yeah, and
dishonors the challenger.
I think if you found Nob Sack, you can dishonor Asami and then Brash Samurai to destroy.
There's no he sacks
He
the
does go
challenger.
sack, yeah. Yep. Wow.
He wins the favor. He's gonna have Yoshi. He's gonna one bid shoot on one honor. He's gonna go for the stronghold on a political attack. He's first player. I think Chutereve might be dead here. He has first action
Asami,
Asami.
right? Yeah. So you
Yeah. So you just buy.
one.
Well, shoot has fate worse than death. So
Yep.
Toreadory, if Toreadory has a voice of honor,
yeah, it's all over if there's a voice of honor.
because you have to fate worse than death Asami. He might just die to stronghold break also. Oh, guest of honor shows up though. So this is just gonna be on board for Toreadory.
Yep.
He might even buy Kaizen here just as another character. So if he fate worse than death, he has to fate worse than death Asami, right? Because if you fate worse than death any other character, Toreadory just has more political skill than you. He just steals you an honor from you and you die.
Yeah. So the question is though, are you committing your entire board to that conflict? I guess you have to.
Yes.
You have to, except for the Asina artisan, who can stay at
Yeah.
home to use her ability.
You can send the artisan into the conflict also to eat a court games. Oh no, it'll get bowed by the stronghold. Never mind. The Whisperer can eat the court games. Also, Toreadory is going to draw 3 cards here.
Still house.
So let's discount some political stats here. So Toreadory has 5, 8, 17, 20, 20, 23 from the artisan, 25, and 26 from favor. So Toreadory is threatening 26 political.
Yeah.
Chutereve's hand is pretty much blank, actually. It's 2 calling in favors. So Voice of Honor is off. It's 3 dead cards, actually.
Yeah.
He has 2 live cards in Ornate Fan and Fate Worse Than Death.
I think this might be it.
Yeah. I think he's dead. I'm not gonna write it completely off, but I think he's dead. Yeah, Asami's gonna get Fate Worse Than Death. That has to be the first action.
Yeah. Which doesn't leave you in a great
position. He leaves Kaizen home, actually. He chooses to leave Kaizen home to basically threaten the second attack.
Yeah, unopposed. because the unopposed attack is going to make Shoot lose an honor anyway. So
yeah, that's fair.
So it's sometimes smart just to.
So there's first action Fate Worse Than Death on Asami. Not surprised.
Yep, and Guest of Honor prevents any cancels that Toreadory might
You probably want to artisan your Whisperer here, so it can't be policy debated.
Yep. Just to prevent it, and he's seen that.
No, he gives it to the challenger.
Oh, to the challenger. Sorry, it wasn't the Whisperer. So he's setting up his own policy.
It's actually good to give it to an honored character because it's protected from first shame, right? So if you give it to the Whisperer, so there's a first shame on Yoshi.
Now
still breaking. I mean, he's winning. Like Shoot needs to come up with 11 skill. He just can't. Like he's just dead here.
Yep.
He's dead to the attack. Yoshi hasn't even activated. He's just using the favor for a stat here. I mean, Toreadory doesn't have to break here. He just needs to win the conflict, and Chutereve needs to somehow find 10 skill. And unless he's secretly playing Dragon, I don't see that happening.
3 cards and 1 fate.
Well, no, his hand's actually, we know his hand. His hand is 2 calling in favor of Voice of Honor, right?
Yeah,
that's it.
It's done. Wow.
Toreadory, strong play there.
Well done, Toreadory. That was pretty quick game, really. Pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was. I think he handled. I think he handled the Guest of Honor correctly, and he definitely drew. He drew 3 Way of the Cranes, right? Like he drew the cards he needed. Chutereve didn't see any more political rivals. Chutereve only saw the one that got debated out.
Shoot just saying that he feels like he couldn't have played much better. So
I would agree. I mean, he drew some dead cards, right? Like the Voice of Honor is a 0 because Toreadory had the samurais and the ways to always have the honor control. And then also we saw the noble stack come out at the right time. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean I think that first turn where Toreadory had the chance to pull out the guest but chose to get the 2 brash instead, and Shoot pulled out his guest. That was a really interesting choice, which I think had consequences across the turns. With the lack of challenges that Shoot was able to pull on early, but I don't know. That was a pretty quick, pretty great game, like top quality skills.
Yeah,
So so your horse has won.
I don't think the crane mirror is particularly great in terms of gameplay. I do, however, I welcome the fact that it is not that long of a mirror.
Yeah, I think I
I
broadcast
would say that the crane mirror. So mirrors in general are going to have are going to be very high variance because you're both playing the same cards, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just whoever draws more copies of the better card of that clan is going to do better. Like that's just the how mirrors work in any card game. And so you need mirror breaker cards. So like in Magic, there's sideboard cards for the mirror breaker. Like Circle of Protection red if you're playing the mirror match against playing against a red deck or something, stuff like that. There's specific hoser cards that you can bring in to really swing the match up in your favor. And there's not that in this game, so you have to depend on your main deck cards like Guest of Honor, Way of the Cranes. So hope you draw less dead cards than your opponent.
It is a little bit like that's the same with the Scorpion mirror and a lot of the other mirrors.
Yeah, the Scorpion mirror for sure is really a big thing on whoever draws more dead cards or whoever sees favor needs to get rid of their dead cards, right?
All right. Well, yeah. So you're off now in the final. So we've got the Dragon played by Mind's Desire versus Toreadory versus Crane. I think that'll be an absolute bottler of a game. Should be very, very exciting. Both absolutely top players, so that should be a very exciting game. And that's for about this time next week, I'm guessing.
No, it's gonna be Friday, I believe. As long as that's okay with Toreadory. Because Saturday is when it was supposed to be, but I have a paper tournament for a real life Naginata.
Right.
Like a real weapon. It's gonna be pretty sick.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Like the pictures got posted. Like someone had a Naginata made, and I'm like, oh man, I need to win this thing.
You'll travel.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it's like 2 hours away. I just have to drive one state over.
Cool. All right then. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and if you've made it this far on YouTube, congratulations. There's probably not a lot of viewers who'll stay around this long, but pretty great game. Any final thoughts?
We'll have this game onto the playlist.
Yeah, cool. All right, so I'll get to uploading now. But thanks a lot, Mind's Desire, and thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks for casting, man.
All right, hooray.